And go.
All right. It's the Vexil. My story for my Escalation League is the Vexilor is raising an army. This banner guy is raising an army for defense of the realms. And so my initial 500 points was a Vexilor, a Knight Arcanum, and 2 units of Vigilors. Now, Vigilors are an absolutely fantastic unit. They're a force multiplier. Anything that they hit gets like a marker, and all your guys are +1 to hit that unit for the rest of the turn. Actually, I'm not sure how long it lasts. Oh, my cards aren't in here. All right, so anyway, and that's 500 points. Now, they recently increased the Vexilors. For a unit of 5 was 130, and now it's 140, which is fine. I have no problem with the increase. They actually reduced a lot of other things in my army. So I played this, and then for 750, to get to 750, I added a Storm Coven. And that's 3 wizards, and they count as a wizard. So now I had 2 wizards in my army, which is great tactical flexibility, because they can add things to the battlefield in the form of endless spells. And I'm just going to grab some of those. Oh, and then here's my cards. Fantastic. Loving it. So wizards can get endless spells on the board. There's a ton of them that they can use. This is Purple Sun. And then I love these. I recommend, can't remember what the name of it's called. The different types of manifestations have different names. Morbid Conjure, Malevolent, somethings. Anyway, so it was great. It gave me a lot of flexibility. So there's 750. Now to get to the next level, I added on, now I needed some actual hitting power. So I added, for 150 points, I added these Annihilators. Now these came in the 3rd edition core box, so they're pretty easy to find. Mike actually gave me some, and so I added those guys, and they would teleport into the middle, so my guys would shoot and reposition or whatever, and then I teleport these guys right in the middle. They're some of the toughest units in the game, one of the few units that have a natural 2-up armor save. And I added a Lord Imperatant in there. I think that adds up to 1,000. Now the Lord Imperatant, if things teleport in, he can actually move them D3 inches closer. So that makes them very scary. And usually people are getting hit in the face by hammers on turn 1 with these guys. But in my battle journal, I noticed that maybe sometimes you want to hold them back for your opponent's Death Star. So let's say I get the first turn and I go first at the top of the first round, which is not ideal, as I'll explain later. So if I go on top of the first and I arrive and start bashing people with these close combat hitters, well, they can put their Death Star in and then kill those guys. And so sometimes you want to hold them back till turn 2, is what I'm finding. So as we went on and increased our points, I made my Annihilators into a group of 6. Now, there's some tactics there, too, because when these guys arrive, you get to deal mortal wounds to everything within 10 inches, or 3 units that are within 10 inches. And so if you do 3 and 3, they get to do that twice. But the problem is, when you activate them, you have to activate these guys, and then you have to activate these guys. So if it's my turn to hit in close combat, I activate a unit of 6, all 6 of them get to hit. And so forth. If you buff them, it buffs all 6 and not just 3. So I personally, I run them in 6s. Some people take 12 Annihilators or even more and just teleport them down in groups of 3 and then just hit them with that blazing impact power to deal mortal wounds. I'm looking for the Vigilors card right now. Let's see, for the rest of the turn. Yeah, so their +1 to hit, where they light up a target, is only till the end of the turn in which they were hit. However, in Age of Sigmar, something important to note, super important, is that you can shoot a ranged unit that's not in combat. You can shoot them at an enemy unit that is in combat, and that used to not be allowed. And some units have a special power called Shoot in Combat, which means while they're in combat, they can shoot at something they're in combat with. So it's a very important distinction, something that we all had to learn as part of the rules. So now, when we went to 1250, I kind of did a few different things. I did this unit. Should I put this in front? Should I be removing some of these? Yeah, there you go. First off, I dropped my banner. So the banner guy left. And I added the Lord Imperatant, I think. I'm not sure. My battle journal has all my army lists in it. And I added a unit of Vanquishers. And Vanquishers are just rank and file unit guys. But they're good against infantry. And most things in the game are infantry. So they're not so situational. And they're good just how they are. And a weird thing in Age of Sigmar is sometimes you can have multiple banners per unit. So like if you take 5 of these, you can have a musician and a banner. But if you expand it out to 10 guys, a reinforced unit, you can have 2 banners and 2 musicians. And for a champion, I label my guy on the underside of the base. Which one is it? I think it's her. Yep, I say champ on the bottom. That way if anybody were to challenge me and say, hey, how do I know which one's the champ? Well, I have it, and she has a special shoulder pad. And now we're at, and then I started adding this guy. This, well, it's a I can't remember, Lord Judicator on Griff Charger, Griff Stalker, but I use it as a Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger, which is from, like, I think the 2nd edition of the game. And so I don't have the official model yet. And he teleports and heals. But the problem is he's a Sacrosanct Chamber. So if you're going to play Stormcast, your leaders can only take certain types of guys. So all of my guys are Warrior Chamber. And I found those really were the most awesome ones. I loved them. So now I have this guy. And in Age of Sigmar, to make a regiment, you have to have a hero, and then 0 to 3 units attached to him. 4 if he's your general. And so you can take 0 units. You can take a hero by himself. And that was my upgrade. I love teleporting this guy around. Unfortunately, I did quickly forget my rule of everybody fights, nobody quits. And I was doing fancy foot play teleporting this guy around, and he wasn't actually fighting or contributing. But he is a wizard, so he was contributing with spells and with his flexibility, obviously. But he can only take sacrosanct guys in his regiment, and none of these are sacrosanct. So I went online, and this is my only unit that wasn't painted by me, and I found for sale this unit of Stormsire's Cursebreakers. And I have not used them yet. They're only 130 points. They count as a wizard too. And they have an oncoming storm, which buffs a unit in a close radius. And there's no card for them, so I can't really talk to you about it. So I don't know. My 1750 list is still up in the air, but I am possibly dropping this guy and adding these guys, which I bought and painted up. These are Questor Soulsworn. I think that's what it's called. So they have like a psychic link into themselves as a group. And by the way, there's a role-playing game for Age of Sigmar, which I really want to run, called Soulbound. And it looks really awesome, and I would definitely want to use miniatures with it, obviously. So the Soulsworn have the same hitting power as the guys. Do you want a chair?
Okay.
Okay, great. They have the same hitting power as the Annihilators. And they get some bonuses to getting backfield objectives. So that's what I'm going to do. So in my 1750 game, those guys, the Questor Soulsworn, the Annihilators, and the Lord Imperatant are all going to teleport down in a big old fat group. And hopefully I'm going to be able to get my Soulsworn onto the backfield objective and basically just really hit hard and create a long-lasting problem for my opponent there. And so the Soulsworn can teleport once per game, and it doesn't have to be the way that they arrive on the battlefield. So I'm going to teleport them on, and then I'm going to teleport them a second time as like an ace in the hole. Remove them from battlefield, blah, blah, blah. And you can also, if you have the character, the questing knight, or whatever he's called, that goes with them, they can teleport him along too. All right, let's talk about my last unit, which is Bastian Carthalos. And he's just a beast. He allows 3 units to move after deployment, so he gives you some tactical flexibility. But he is 250 points, so yikes. But with that, this is easily a 2,000 point army, probably more. And the last thing I want to talk about is the, oh my god, these guys, the Storm Coven. So basically, there's a Warhammer Underworlds, that's like a box game, a board game they have, and they put them out, they're out for a while, and then they discontinue them, and you can never get them again. So right now, the Storm Coven are not on the Games Workshop site, they've been out of print for a while, they're almost impossible to find. If you want a weird hollow box set, which is what these come in, be prepared to spend over $200 for the box set. So it's pretty insane. So I basically bought the 2 helper guys separately, and they cost about $40 each. It's insane. And then I just took this guy, I just liked the model, and he's from Zandire's Truth Seekers, which for whatever reason is super easy to find. And then I made a second Storm Coven by converting up, who is it? Oh no, I did this wrong. This guy goes there. I basically converted up this dude here. See how it's the same model? And I just gave him a different staff tip. And then I bought this Modern Zane model. And he looks awesome. He's supposed to be a Knight Arcanum. And then if I take my Knight Arcanum, where did he go? Right here. And I move him in there. There's a second unit, second Storm Coven. So there you go. And the Storm Coven is awesome. They've got ranged attacks, they're a wizard, and they're close combat maniacs. And you just, their hitting power is what I call elite hitting power. So when you're reading these cards, I hope this is useful for a beginning player, certainly someone who might want to copy my army and actually do it. By the way, the downside of this army is that it only has typically one type of model in it. So if you take out Stormsires and this Griff dude, you've got the Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. These are all Warrior Chamber. And there is no battle formation for Warrior Chamber. It's Thunderhead Host, which says Warrior Chamber get a bonus to hit if they're wholly within 12 inches of a non-Warrior Chamber unit. Well, to get the non-Warrior Chamber unit, you've got to add a non-Warrior Chamber hero, and now you've got another drop. So that's kind of why I've had this guy in there. And it's fine, 2,000 points is fine. People are usually at 3 drops. Do we have time to talk about drops?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to talk about like how this army plays. What your expectations were, did it meet it, and then who is this army for? Like right. what kind of?
Well, let's go. First off, this is a good beginner's army. Any army could be good for someone who's paying. Oh, hello. You get to see this. Oh. Yeah. So any army is good for a beginner if they're doing what I've recommended in our other video, which is keep a strategy, a turn list, hero phase, move phase, whatever, and basically take all your cards, all your units, and parse out their abilities by phase. Have this with you by the game, next to where you're playing your game, and say, it's my hero phase, I'm doing these 8 things. And it makes the game go more quickly, it's more respectful to your opponent, you're not fumbling around in your book going, oh, what else has a hero phase? I don't remember. No, it's all right here. I never forget anything. I just go down here, did I do this? And I'm just scanning it, and I just don't miss things. And it's fantastic. So the answer is, this one actually has more things to remember. So maybe not for a beginning player. I've really enjoyed it as my first army for Age of Sigmar 4th edition. And it's forgiving in the sense that they have armor to them. And really there's only one defensive thing in Age of Sigmar, which is your armor save. But not really. You have buffs. You have buffs that make it harder for your opponent, that what's called a debuff for your opponent, that's actually a defense for you, and a defense that goes on to your guys that gives negatives to your opponent. And so that really does give them. So for example, when my Annihilators come down, I give my Lord Imperator, my General, Shock and Awe, which makes the guys teleporting in that are near him get -1 to wound them. So with the 2-up save and -1 to wound, but people go in there and they try and erase them from the board, and they're typically standing still on turn 5. It's brutal. Those guys are very tough to perish. So what was the next question?
Did they play how you expect? What was your expectation, and did they fulfill your expectation?
Well, yes. I started not really knowing what Stormcast were. I actually picked them because they were the common army. Because I never play Space Marines. I play Eldar. I want to play a finesse army that no one else is playing. Ergo Cruel Boys. But they are fantastic, and there's a reason why they're the flagship army. And I really do, like, if you look at the number of units, you're spoiled in Storm. There's so many ways you can play Stormcast. Cruel Boys, on the other hand, their unit list is like really short. That's it. This is it. You can have almost everything in a 2,000 point army. And there's just not much to them.
Yeah.
There's not many shenanigans. There's a limit. But I've determined to play. Oh, by the way, Cruel Boys are the sneaky orcs.
Yes, swamp orcs.
Swamp orcs, and the model range is great for it. That's why I really got them, was Rule of Cool.
And they were the second half of some of the models
For third edition.
For third edition,
They
were
had
the mini box,
Stormcast and whatever.
and that was an incredible box.
Oh, it was. I've actually bought it twice.
I had 4 of them.
Yeah, you eventually. The box sets tend to start, and then they go on sale, and then they go up a little bit, and then they go down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point in time, usually after about a year, that all the game shops are just like, because Games Workshop makes you buy like 12 or 24. They just force feed you all these things. And they're like, don't discount them. But then eventually they just have to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then they go way up.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, if you want, oh my gosh, I was looking for the 40K one. What was it called? It also had DOM. Was it Dominion? What was the?
It was the Indominus.
Indominus box.
The Necron box.
Yeah, that's way
Indominus.
up now. That's like $300.
Tyler and Emily have one of those.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and they're always a great deal. And I gotta tip my hat to the game designers for Age of Sigmar, because the units are still good from their last box. That Lord Imperator is super strong. The Annihilators are bananas. The Vindictors are not great. Nobody loves, or Liberators for that matter.
And
I'm like, come on, give them something good.
How was the painting? As a hobby guy myself, mostly here for the painting. What was the painting experience? Because some models are more fun than others to paint. Some of them get a little redundant.
Well, these are very formulaic. I created a formula. It's usually gold armor, so that you literally spray paint them gold and then go back and reinvent the other things. In fact, can we look at the models again? I want to show what I've done here. So normally their cloaks and stuff are royal blue. Mine are not. They're actually dark turquoise. And I think that made them look a lot better. Also, for my armor, I only did the edging gold and I did everything else silver. So they do have a more traditional armored guy look. And I gotta tell you, they're pretty easy to paint. Like, everything follows the same formula. The only weird guys are these, where I gave them just a bunch of gold on their shoulder pads. I thought it looked better. And they don't have any cloaks. So the Annihilators are a little weird. And then, so look at the difference between these two. So these are the ones that I bought, and I may actually get rid of those just for the fact that I want to paint everything myself. And these are traditional GW. They have Retributor gold on them. They backfilled all the things that weren't gold, and then they used contrast paints on them and a little bit of wet blending. So obviously you can see the difference between the two. And so I just want to try these Storm Sires. They look really cool. What else? There's every faction gets a faction terrain, which is free. It doesn't cost any points. So you automatically get it. You may as well put it on the board. I did meet someone who didn't use their faction terrain. This is not the faction terrain for Stormcast. It's what they call, it's a Stormreach portal, but people call it the toll booth because the actual one is like huge, enormous. And I don't like how it looks. So I've played this. No one's given me a hard time about it. It's actually disadvantageous because it operates in a radius. So my radius is smaller. I can't dominate an entire region with this giant, because the toll booth is literally like, I think 10 inches across. It's bananas. So I've thought of actually creating a base on this that it magnetizes to, that is the actual exact footprint, in case someone were like, oh, it's not the same, blah, blah, blah. I could just be like, clunk, bloom. There it is. Now it's the same footprint. What else? Oh, that's it. Yeah, I've had a great time in the Escalation League. This is my 2,000 plus Stormcast army. It's all painted up. And I've been very pleased. That's a great thing about the Escalation League is you won't have anything that's terrible, because you'll have learned what's good and what works for you and works in your army, and you'll have a good army that works together very well.
Sweet.
I've had a good time.